Coca-Cola didn't just change what we drink, it changed how the modern world functions. Every single day, billions of people reach for it without thinking. Not because they're thirsty, but because it's familiar, comforting, predictable. Coca-Cola taught us that sugar can mean comfort, that caffeine can mean productivity, that a logo can stand in for happiness itself. It helped invent modern branding, modern advertising, and the idea that a product doesn't just solve a problem, it creates a feeling. Because of that, everyone thinks they know its story. A brilliant formula, a flawless business, a global empire built by visionaries. But that's not the story we're telling. Because Coca-Cola wasn't founded by a corporate mastermind, or a branding genius, or a man chasing global domination. It was invented by a wounded soldier, a pharmacist, a morphine addict. To understand Coca-Cola, we have to go back, not to the boardroom, but to the battlefield. When the American Civil War ended in 1865, the country was shattered in ways no victory parade could hide. Hundreds of thousands were dead. Many more were maimed. Amputations were common. Chronic pain was everywhere. Trauma had no name yet, and medicine was blunt, experimental, and often desperate. Morphine was the miracle of the age. Refined during the war and distributed widely, morphine dulled pain fast and reliably. Doctors called it humane, necessary, a triumph of modern chemistry. No one yet understood addiction as a disease. Dependence was seen as an unfortunate side effect, not a warning sign. John Stith Pemberton was one of the men caught in that gap. He had served as a Confederate officer and was badly wounded in battle. The injury left him in constant pain. To survive, doctors prescribed morphine. Like thousands of other veterans, he became dependent. But Pemberton wasn't just a patient trying to endure his days. He was a trained pharmacist, a chemist, a man who believed deeply in the power of compounds and formulas. He believed chemistry could fix things, bodies, minds, habits, including his own. In the late 19th century, medicine and marketing hadn't separated yet. Drugstores weren't just places to fill prescriptions. They were retail laboratories of hope. Shelves were lined with tonics, elixirs, nerve stimulants, and cure-alls promising clarity, strength, vitality, relief. These weren't fringe scams. They were mainstream medicine. Caffeine was celebrated. Alcohol was medicinal. Cocaine was legal, prescribed, and praised. Doctors wrote glowing endorsements. Newspapers printed testimonials. Even Sigmund Freud publicly praised cocaine for its energizing and mood-lifting effects. The line between healing and enhancement barely existed. This was the world Pemberton was working in. Trying to escape morphine addiction, he began experimenting with alternatives. If one drug caused dependence, perhaps another compound could restore balance. He wasn't trying to build an empire. He was trying to survive his own body. His first success was a drink called French wine coca, a mixture of wine and coca leaf extract. It promised energy, focus, and relief. It sold well. For a moment, it looked like Pemberton had found his answer. Then history intervened again. In 1886, Atlanta passed prohibition laws. Alcohol was outlawed. Overnight, French wine coca became illegal. Pemberton's solution was erased by law. For many, that would have been the end. For Pemberton, it was a forced pivot. He removed the wine. He replaced it with sugar syrup. He kept the coca leaf extract. He added caffeine from cola nuts. What emerged was a thick, dark liquid. Bitter, stimulating, unusual. It wasn't designed to be refreshing. It was designed to work. He named it Coca-Cola. Yes, there really was cocaine in early Coca-Cola. Not a rumor, not a myth, not a scandal uncovered later. Coca leaf extract naturally contained small amounts of cocaine, and at the time this was neither hidden nor controversial. It was considered modern science. Coca-Cola was marketed as a brain tonic, a remedy for headaches, a cure for exhaustion, a treatment for nervous disorders. It was sold in pharmacies, not restaurants, mixed carefully at soda fountains, served slowly like medicine. There is a quiet, uncomfortable irony at the heart of this story. A man addicted to morphine, desperately trying to free himself, accidentally created one of the most effective stimulant combinations the world had ever seen. Not out of greed, not out of malice, out of hope, faith in chemistry, and the blind spots of his era. Coca-Cola began to catch on, but Pemberton never benefited from that momentum. His health continued to decline. His addiction never fully loosened its grip. Medical bills piled up, and as Coca-Cola's popularity grew, Pemberton began selling pieces of his ownership. Not strategically, not with foresight, but urgently. He needed cash. He sold percentages of his future to survive the present. One of the few lasting decisions Pemberton made was trusting his bookkeeper, Frank Robinson. Robinson named Coca-Cola. Robinson designed the flowing, cursive logo. Robinson believed 2 C's would look good in advertising. That logo still exists today, almost unchanged. The brand was already outliving the man who created it. In 1888, John Stith Pemberton died. He was 57 years old. Illinois, poor, largely forgotten. He died owning only a small fraction of Coca-Cola. The drink he invented was just beginning its rise, but its inventor would never see it. The real ascent of Coca-Cola began after Pemberton was gone, and that erasure wasn't accidental, because Coca-Cola didn't become Coca-Cola through chemistry, it became Coca-Cola through systems. Enter Asa Candler. Candler wasn't a pharmacist. He wasn't an inventor. He was something far more influential. He was a systems thinker. Over time, he acquired the remaining rights to Coca-Cola, standardized the formula, and made a decisive shift. Coca-Cola would no longer be medicine, it would be habit. Then Candler did something revolutionary. He made Coca-Cola unavoidable. Free drink coupons, branded clocks, calendars, street signs, pharmacy exclusivity deals. Coca-Cola appeared everywhere, on walls, counters, timepieces. Repetition did the work that persuasion never could. Candler understood something fundamental. If people encounter a product often enough, they stop asking why it's there. Coca-Cola didn't need to be the best drink. It needed to be the default. Around this time, public attitudes toward cocaine began to shift. Concerns grew. Quietly, without announcements or apologies, Coca-Cola reduced the cocaine content. By 1903, the psychoactive element was removed entirely. No scandal, no reckoning, just evolution. The stimulant stack remained. Sugar and caffeine were enough. Coca-Cola stopped selling health. It started selling feeling. Delicious and refreshing. The pause that refreshes. Open happiness. This wasn't about taste, it was about emotion, comfort, energy, normalcy. In a rapidly industrializing world, Coca-Cola offered something familiar, a controlled, repeatable pleasure. And the story of John Stith Pemberton faded quietly into the background. Most people today think Asa Candler founded Coca-Cola. Almost no one knows Pemberton's name. History tends to remember builders, not inventors, especially inventors who die early, addicted, and inconvenient. Tragedy doesn't scale well. It doesn't fit on billboards, but the past never fully disappears. Here's the detail almost no one knows. To this day, Coca-Cola is legally permitted to import coca leaves into the United States under government supervision. The cocaine is removed, the leaves remain. Flavor is extracted, the drug is gone, but the plant is still there. The ghost never fully left the machine. So when you drink a Coca-Cola today, you're not just tasting sugar and bubbles. You're tasting the echo of 19th century medicine, of war wounds, of addiction, of chemistry slowly turning into culture. Pemberton created a substance, Candler created a system, and we inherited the habit. Coca-Cola didn't start as happiness, it started as pain management. And that might be the most modern origin story of all. But Coca-Cola let cocaine go. Not everyone did. In the same era, with the same faith in chemistry, another company went further, louder, more confident, backed by laboratories, patents, and absolute belief in science. They didn't sell happiness, they sold relief. They sold certainty, and they named it heroin. That story comes next. Now I want to hear from you. Which founder, company, or rise and fall story should we cover next? Drop your ideas in the comments, and it might just become the next episode of The Founder Files.